After all the hype that you've heard over the course of the last 2 years about the Coloradans for responsible wildlife management, we're proud to announce our new venture, the Women of Conservation calendar that showcases and celebrates the women that helped defeat Proposition 127. 14 months of the calendar of all of the women that helped, plus more, the convention dates, deadlines, draw application dates, commission meetings, and things going on at the Colorado State Capitol. This is an opportunity to support CRWM and the efforts that we continually work on through the Colorado State Capitol, Colorado Parks and Wildlife Commission, and to address all of the ballot issues that continually arise. We've got some fantastic sponsors that help prop up and just showcase who these women are. Rodeo queens, barrel racers, houndswomen, general sportsmen, mothers, and every avocation you could think, from archery hunting to muzzleloading to rifle hunting and waterfowl as well. These women stuck their necks out to help save the hunt. Get it for yourself. It makes a great gift. Make sure you get it before Christmas, and look at all the other important dates that are coming up. $24.95, SaveTheHuntColorado.com.
Through the Gates is produced under the support of the Coloradans for Responsible Wildlife Management to enhance, promote, and defend the North American model of wildlife conservation and responsible wildlife management. That's our mission. We're engaged in fighting at every level so that wildlife management remains science-based and conservation continues to work for our wildlife. To learn more and join the movement, visit SaveTheHuntColorado.com. The North American model of wildlife conservation is the greatest conservation model in the world. It's a success story that should be shared and celebrated because everybody is a part of it. Well, we've got another midweek update on Through the Gates to Save the Hunt. And today is October 15th. First rifle season opened today, and any of those that might be out there partaking in their endeavors to try to be successful on a big game hunt, I hope they're successful. And for those of you that aren't hunting today and through the next 5 days, maybe you're hunting the first season or the second season or third season or fourth season. Maybe you've got a late season cow elk hunt. Maybe you're going out of state. Maybe you've already completed your hunt and you've been successful or unsuccessful. See a lot of posts over the social media, over the internet, and people saying that they had a really good, successful season, and other people saying it wasn't worth a damn. Too many people, not enough game, too hot, too cold, too wet. It's never going to make all of us happy at any level, but hopefully we get a chance to enjoy it, because this is why CRWM fights to make sure that we have the opportunity to continue to do the pursuits that we want to, whether it's big game or waterfowl or predators or upland birds or fur bearers, which continually seem to be under the gun in some way, shape, or form. We just got done with the last week commission meeting in Loveland, Colorado. It was October 9th. You know, it used to be that they didn't have Parks and Wildlife Commission meetings in October because the staff was pretty taxed because of hunting seasons, and a lot of the commissioners enjoyed going hunting. I think we've probably got 2 commissioners now that actually engage in consumptive use of buying a license and hunting, which is a sad state of affairs. If there's a couple other ones that we don't know about, they're not very boisterous about it. But the 2 sportsman reps we know hunt to some degree, and I'm not so sure about Commissioner Silva Blaney. I know that she's a fishing guide and outfitter representative, but I don't know if she actually participates in hunting or not. But in any event, there's 11 commissioners, and we've got 2, maybe 3, that actually hunt. And so when they have a meeting in October, it doesn't screw them up, and they don't care whether the agency is taxed or not, as far as so many people in the field or getting ready for the field or whatever. The next commission meeting is in Sterling, Colorado, November 13th and 14th. And, you know, there wasn't a lot to be said that happened over the course of the last 8-hour meeting on October 9th. But if you listened, you could kind of get an idea about the tone and the narrative that continually resurfaces. And it has to do with phrases that individuals and entities and organizations continually try to elevate and escalate the conversation about ecosystems and biodiversity and cruel and inhumane harvest and the ideology that we shouldn't be managing wildlife at all, which continually just surfaces on a regular basis. And I'm not saying that the commission is the one that always brings it up, but they're entertaining these conversations, and you can tell between wolves and fur bearers, or black-footed ferrets and all of the components that CPW is having to deal with. Some members of the public have caught the attention. Those topics have caught the attention of the members of the public, and they just keep trying to beat a dead horse. And I think that we're going to see some continued attempts to try to degrade and erode not only the North American model of wildlife conservation, but responsible wildlife management, and to continue to undermine the management of the predators in the state of Colorado. Not even talking about wolves at this particular time, but whether it's coyotes or bobcats or bears or lions or any of the other fur bearer species, there's going to be continued attempts to degrade and erode the opportunity for harvest, the opportunity to utilize the resource, a highly regulated and abundant resource. And, these are talking points that we know that don't resonate with the antis, but they should resonate with the general public, because Colorado Parks and Wildlife, for the tools that they have and the people that they have in the state of Colorado, do about as good of a job as what they possibly could. Now, I know a lot of people that will listen to this podcast don't necessarily agree with everything the CPW does. I don't agree with everything the CPW does. However, if you look at the opposition that we continually have fought for the last 20 some odd years, and specifically over the course of the last 8 years since this governor and first gentleman Marlon Reese have been in office, I would much rather have Colorado Parks and Wildlife managing our wildlife than being undermined and manipulated by the administration that empowers people through appointments and through elevating the positions of people's perspectives, when all they do is continually come to the table with the same old bitch, moan, groan, and gripe and complain. Never a suggestion or a solution except for stop it, just ban it. And if you go back in time and listen to testimony, which you won't be able to do about the last commission meeting because they had technical difficulties at the Embassy Suites, and so the redundant testimony that was there will not be able to be heard on the YouTube channel. It was not able to be recorded, evidently, but kind of give you a rundown of what that was. There were people that took talking points from an individual by the name of Mark Searles, and Mr. Searles, who I had a deep conversation with at the meeting. Mr. Searles is the state coordinator for Project Coyote. He also was in cahoots with Samantha Miller with Cats Aren't Trophies during the campaign that we beat and defeated last year, beat handily. And Mr. Searles sent an email out. I mentioned this in one of my previous posts. Mr. Searles sent an email out to his followers, to his minions, saying what they should say. And they did. They did damn near verbatim, and they did it over and over and over and over the course of the majority of the public comment, the testimony period. And, people this time had a chance to talk for up to 3 minutes because there wasn't as many people to talk, and the conversations on the agenda were not as highly contested. But one thing I want to bring up is these individuals keep taking these talking points that are not their own because they don't have any. They don't have any talking points because they don't know the subject matter. And they don't know the subject matter because they've never paid attention to it, because they don't engage in it. And it's out of sight and out of mind, so they don't really care about it until somebody brings it to their attention and tells them what to do, where to go, and what to say. If anybody has listened to any of the anti-type extremist podcasts that are out there, you can get a pretty good feel for where individuals want to go and what they want to try to accomplish over the course of the next 14 or 15 months of this governor and First Gentleman Marlon Reese. And, you know, it's hard not to call people out when things continually surface about what they're trying to do and how they're trying to do it. I don't have a problem, as I told Mr. Searles during our conversation, which at times was heated. I don't have a problem with people's opinions. What I have a problem with people is trying to change my life and your life and the ability to be able to pursue our endeavors, no matter what pursuit, no matter what method of take, and leave it to the experts. And if the experts say, because science says that we shouldn't harvest something, but by God, that we shouldn't harvest it because the science indicated that. Now, there's some caveats that go along with that. I'm not just saying that Parks and Wildlife or any other game management agency says you can't do this, but they have to have reasons. And social science and perspectives and public opinions, in my mind, are not reasons. They're not reasons enough to ban the harvest of any game species. They're not reason enough to stop the opportunity for people to be able to pursue, whether somebody wants to be able to harvest a sandhill crane, or somebody wants to be able to harvest a bighorn sheep, or somebody wants to be able to harvest a swift fox or a freaking bobcat. And I get a little, not emotional, but irritated and frustrated when these people continually come up saying, you should do this because there's not enough people to do that, so you should stop. There's not much of an interest in this, so you shouldn't do it. Well, what they're trying to do is they're trying to segregate and they're trying to divide and conquer. And what we at CRWM and a lot of our other partner organizations with the Colorado Wildlife Conservation Project, we don't believe that anything should be taken away, any opportunities should be taken away, unless the science determines that that's necessary for the survival of species, to propagate specific species, or to take care of specific habitats, which we have not had a problem with over the course of the last 125 plus years, with regulated seasons of wildlife species, of fur bearers and small game and waterfowl and upland game and big game, including all predators. Regulated hunting seasons have never extirpated or been a component of extirpation of any game species. Any game species. And the reason I have to continually say this is because if you listen to the lunatics on the other side, they act like everything's going extinct as we speak. Now, wildlife, as we all know, goes in cycles. It's cyclical. It might be weather. It might be habitat. Maybe it's just disease. Maybe it's predation. There's a variety of different factors, including urban sprawl and recreation, that falls into the aspects of science-based wildlife management. But for people just to step up and continually say something that somebody told them to say when they don't have a mind of their own to be able to say it, and say this is the gospel and you shouldn't do this, you're wrong by doing it, you don't know what the hell you're doing by doing it, those are the type of things that we despise. Not only does it frustrate us, I think that it probably shows the true ignorance of people when they can't come out and talk about anything other than what somebody else told them to say. Mountain lion season starts November 24th this year, and it'll go through March 31st of 2026. CPW has done a fair amount of modifications to different quotas as they are in the process of ending one study in the Arkansas River Valley all the way up to Leadville and beginning another study on the East Slope Mountain Lion Management Plan. And there's other studies going on that Colorado Parks and Wildlife is doing as we speak, including a continuance of the Bobcat study with Mr. Shane Frank. And Shane has now moved to the Front Range. They're still doing things over on the Western Slope, but he's now moved to the Front Range with the study, and they are trying to collect additional data pertaining to bobcat populations. And those topics go hand in hand with what we've been doing on the Beaver Management Working Group and the Fur Bearer Stakeholder Group, both of which will essentially come to a conclusion in November at which time the facilitator, Keystone for the Beaver management plan, and Peak with Heather Bergman for the Fur Bearer group, information will be given to Colorado Parks and Wildlife for recommendations, excuse me, from the results and the consensus or not from the working groups on each one of those. And the thing that I've got a problem with this, and I've told Mr. Searles, and I've told about anybody that would listen, I have a hard line problem with a beaver management plan that segregates and takes a species of a fur bearer out of the classification for a complete separate stakeholder group, even though it's part of Chapter 3, even though they're managed as a classification. In my mind, that should have been an entire fur bearer working group. And once the recommendations of that came out, then they should have turned around and taken beavers in whatever direction they decided they wanted to go. But that's not what we got handed. We ended up getting 2 working groups at the same time, simultaneously. And Samantha Miller and Mark Searles continually try to get the petition that they filed on the fur bearers. They try to get that heard during the actual fur bearer meetings and during the beaver meetings through the Colorado Parks and Wildlife Commission. They want it out of sequence. They want to turn around and modify the game plan, the rules of engagement. Why, I don't know. I think it's just because they don't really give a rat's ass about transparency and accountability or due process. I think that they want what they want. They really don't care what science says, and they don't care what the focus groups say. And they damn sure don't care what the sportsmen and women or Colorado Parks and Wildlife says. So they're trying to circumvent that process, and we'll see how that ends up going over the course of the next several months. But as I mentioned, the meeting on the 13th and 14th of November in Sterling, there'll be some contentious subjects that come up, and the chair has not come up with a agenda as of yet, but I'm sure that there'll be plenty of things to talk about as that continually moves through. And there again, another commission meeting during hunting season. So they have one in October and then the one in November. Used to be that they would meet even for the non-hunters on the commission, and they would get together and they would participate in a East Plains pheasant hunt. A lot of times they didn't really do very good, but they got together in the spirit of conservation and wildlife management. And that doesn't happen anymore. The other seasons that come up, you got, second season is October 25th to November 2nd. Third season is November 8th through the 16th, which the commission meeting falls right in the middle of the third season. That's really helpful for staff. Then the fourth season starts November 19th to the 23rd. And as I mentioned, then mountain lion season starts the 24th. So if you have any interest in going on a lion hunt, get with the United Houndsman. You can contact them. If you're trying to find information out about lion hunting, contact Colorado Parks and Wildlife. They got specific separate brochures on lions by themselves. Remember, you do have to take a test, a quiz on mountain lions before you can turn around and harvest, or before you can buy a license to harvest. And so there's a little bit of time lapse there. You just don't go buy one over the counter. You have to take the test to be able to do it. Beaver season just started here in October 1st. And I think, from listening to some of the people that don't want us to harvest any of these things, they thought that they'd be able to stop this year's beaver season or this year's fur bearer season just because they wanted to circumvent the citizens petition process and circumvent the stakeholder process, which hopefully logic and level heads will prevail on that. So state land board meeting is this week, and there's some significant discussions about outfitting, about solar siting, about the sale of a Lahara property down in the San Luis Valley. And for those of you that haven't paid attention, Nicole Rose Marino is the executive director of the State Land Board. And while she might not be the significant other, she has direct, immediate, close ties to the Southern Plains Land Trust and to Commissioner, Vice Chair Jay Touchton for the Colorado Parks and Wildlife Commission. It's worth starting to pay attention to the state land board because there's a lot of things that people's perceptions of how to change that and make it better while restricting hunting or consumptive use or wildlife management is in their game plan on that as well. We will continually try to update through the process. And the reason you're seeing a couple of me in a row, one, to be able to provide an update, two, because Sean Ender, our cinematographer and videographer, has had issues that he needs to deal with. I think he's buying a house and selling a house, and he's trying to get his ducks in a row. We've got a lot of good podcasts coming up on the hook. We got one here this Friday. We got several coming up over the course of the next several weeks. I think you guys will be really, really excited to see some of those guests that we've got. And hopefully by mid-November, maybe the first part of December, we'll actually be in our studio to be able to turn around and start doing it in the same location as opposed to jumping around from spot to spot and trying to, we'll probably still try to track some people down and go see some people. Sometimes that's a little easier when you can get 3 or 4 guests to come in and record them all in one day. One thing that's really cool, interesting, and we're excited about is we just released the Women of Conservation Sportsman's Calendar. This is a calendar. It's a fundraising opportunity for the Coloradans for Responsible Wildlife Management. And they're $24.95, and you can go to SaveTheHuntColorado.com, our website. You can get yours there. If you're in Colorado and you know any one of the gals that have been in that calendar, some of them will have calendars, and we will have calendars situated and located throughout the state in brick and mortar stores, whether they're feed stores or gun shops or a variety of different locations that they'll be selling those as well. If you're looking for one and you're trying to find out where you can go pick one up, let us know, message us, and we will tell you the closest place that we've got situated. Otherwise, you can turn around and go to the website, like I mentioned. But that's a really cool deal that we came up with, and we got a hell of a lineup of sponsors, and I'm going to continually be talking about that, and we're going to give the sponsors plugs throughout the next year. But from Wild Sheep to Safari Club to Muley Fanatics, Salida Gun Shop, Women Hunt, Davis Tent, Fierce Firearms, Gunworks, Whitetail Properties, Shields, Rocky Mountain Bighorn Society, Minturn Anglers, Sangre de Cristo Outfitters. These are all companies that came together to support our efforts, not only for this, but some of them for many other ventures that we've been getting into as well. Oh, Iron Will Outfitters, they're in Colorado Springs. We're going to do some commercial spots for each one of these places because they put their money where their mouth is to be able to help us continue to save the hunt. And I would encourage each and every one of you to look them up and pay tribute to them and pay service to them because they're helping to support CRWM and the lobbying efforts and what we do here in the state of Colorado. And it's a worthwhile venture. So if you haven't gotten your calendar, it's a 14-month calendar, starts for November of this year, goes all the way through 2026. It's got a lineup of beautiful sportswomen that were all instrumental in some capacity to help save the hunt and to defeat Proposition 127. And it's be a great gift. But one thing that's really cool in there is we tried to get as many dates as what we possibly could for season dates, draw deadlines, commission meetings, conventions, banquets, a variety of different things that people normally are looking around, but they got to look at their phone or they don't think about it. But we put it on the calendar. And so this is an infotainment type deal, but the women that are in there are remarkable young ladies. And as I've said, that we couldn't have won what we did without those type of gals. And it wasn't just them, it was many others. But we would hope that you'd follow us, subscribe, continue to share what we're trying to accomplish, because this fight isn't getting any easier, ladies and gentlemen. I tell you what, it's I always told people they needed they needed hip boosts. Well, it's getting to the point they need chest waders, and maybe they need a float tube because the water's getting pretty deep. But this calendar is an effort to be able to continually support us and give you something in return. And for the $25 investment, we hope that you guys would continue to do that and maybe buy a couple of them. Buy some for your neighbors or your doctor or friends or family or whatever. But it's just kind of a cool tribute to what we're doing, and we're going to continue to figure out outside the box ways to where we can generate some funds to continually fight the fight and try to save the hunt. So check out the next podcast that comes up on Friday. And I think you guys are going to be pleased with a lot of stuff that we're doing moving forward. And if you're not, let us know, because we'd like to figure out a way to keep working with you, representing you, and making sure that, you know, that we're the tip of the spear and trying to lead the charge and wrangle the troops and stay at every level what we possibly can. So we appreciate it. Good luck. Stay the course. Aim small, miss small. Go to SaveTheHuntColorado.com. Buy a calendar. If you want to support a company that supported the efforts to defeat Proposition 127, then you need to support Davis Tent. Davis Tent has provided quality canvas goods for outdoorsmen for the last 50 plus years. For more information, go to davistent.com. If you want to support another business that was instrumental in helping us defeat Proposition 127, check out Salida Gun Shop. Salida Gun Shop in Salida, Colorado provides quality products, expertise, and knowledge from individuals that actually do what they sell. Go to salidagunshop.com. Listen to the advice of Cameron Haynes and support companies that are supporting your cause and your efforts. Minturn Anglers is one of those companies. Minturn Anglers provides product and fishing excursions in Colorado and are second to none. For more information, go to minturnanglers.com.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Through the Gates. For more content like this, make sure that you like, follow, and subscribe on all of our channels.